This video is not just a simple love advice, it's about why our generation struggles with something that humans valued for thousands of years. Freedom is killing love, and nobody's talking about it. Love used to be something worth fighting for, and now we just replace it. People in the 1700s will fight for years just to hold hands, and now we just swipe left on Tinder. We live in a world where everything is super fast and instant, right? Fast food, same-day delivery, instant messaging, and somewhere along the way we also started expecting instant love too. But love isn't meant to be instant, right? Love takes time and effort. It is supposed to be built slowly, brick by brick, step by step, through storms and sunshine. And the harsh truth here is that the more freedom we have of love nowadays, the less we actually want it. Hi enemy, and if you're new here, welcome. I love everything that's art, philosophy, and self-development. And this channel is basically an open diary where I will share with you my journey from having nothing to chasing my biggest dreams in life, and the unfiltered truth of what it really takes to build the life you want. You will see all the wins, failures, lessons, and thoughts that shaped me along the way. So today, in Romance Diary series, we will talk about why modern love feels so empty and why commitment is slowly disappearing. Back then, love was limited. There were barriers. Maybe social class, parents' approval, distance, or even laws. But that limitation somehow made love feel sacred. If you found it, then you fall for it. Because you value what's hard to get, and love isn't hard to get anymore. Now with dating apps and social media, love is a buffet. You can pick and you can replace a partner with just the tap of a finger. And yes, freedom of choice is a blessing, but it also gives commitment. Because everything has a bad and a good side, right? And having too much freedom nowadays just tell us that you have unlimited options out there for you, right? Through all these years in the country that I lived most part of my life, which is Spain, and Western countries in general, America, etc., I have heard a specific phrase among Gen Z that surprised me the most. And it goes like this. Why would I ever commit with someone now? I'm so young and I have many more things to try and more people to meet. And just me, I personally have heard that phrase a lot of times. So that's why one of the reasons Gen Z don't want to get married young nowadays, even assuming that they have a good relationship or a good, financial situation to do so, they will still choosing not to do so. Of course, there can be multiple reasons for that. I'm not saying that that's the only main reason. Maybe you just don't want to get married and that's perfectly fine. Like, I'm not criticizing that. But we cannot ignore the fact that this is still one of the reasons people nowadays don't want to get married. I heard people saying that, like, I don't want to commit with someone now. I don't want to get married because I want to have, open options in my life. And I think I'm so young to commit to someone. I still want to meet people. And I'm like, then why are you dating your girlfriend? Because that's the grass can be greener somewhere else kind of mentality. And that's why our generation fears commitment, because they actually fear of losing the opportunity to having multiple options available. What if there is someone else better out there and I will lose that opportunity? And social media is a very important factor here because we have endless choices, right? We have dating apps, social media in general, and having constant options create us a fake illusion that something better is always around the corner. Now you can see each other's life on the internet and you can so easily fall into the imposter syndrome, and I myself fell into it several times without even noticing, because you see this reel of this handsome, romantic guy buying luxury stuff for his girlfriend and giving her princess treatment, and you think, oh, but I also want that. Why I don't have that? I also deserve it. Why my boyfriend doesn't do that? Why my boyfriend doesn't buy me luxury things like that guy I just saw on Reels? Why my boyfriend doesn't give me the last iPhone Pro like that guy I just saw on Reels? That maybe means that my boyfriend loved me less because look what others are giving to his girlfriends, look what others are doing, that kind of stuff. Yes, of course that exists, and it's a very good thing. I celebrate that. But we also forget that it can be staged and actually fake. And we also forget that what it seems to be the perfect relationship in social media, actually it can be a toxic or a not that good relationship behind the scenes. We usually see just the perfect and aesthetic side on social media, but you are not there. You don't know the whole situation. You don't know the background. Nobody's gonna post how I argue with my boyfriend and how we actually struggle to maintain this relationship. I mean, maybe that kind of content exists, but it will be just the 1% of it. And as I said, even being aware of it, I almost fell in that trap many times without even realizing it. A while ago, I saw a reel in which a girl so happy was showing us that her husband has written her a love letter and left her some flowers. And she said that they have been married for 3 years now, and he will do this every single month in their anniversary date. And she said that, time is no excuse for letting little details fade. And she's totally right, and that's so beautiful. But for a moment, I thought, but my boyfriend doesn't do this every single month, so that means he loved me less, or what? Like, look what others are doing. And instantly, I just regret it, because I realized that, number one, it can be staged or fake. And number two, it can be real, but her husband may have many other parts where he fails and parts where my boyfriend is probably better than him. So why the heck I should compare my boyfriend with her husband? And soon I realized that my relationship is even better than that. No, he doesn't give me flowers every single month for our anniversary date, but he instead will take me to dates every single week. We will go to the whatever restaurant I will want to go that day. He will pay for everything, always, and he will also give me, random gifts, random details. That's so beautiful. That's it. Like, do I really need that? Do I really need my boyfriend to give me flowers every single month for our anniversary date? Or it is just because I saw that reel. Maybe that girl on the reel doesn't have all of this in her relationship and she would like to. And I have it, but we just don't know. Who knows? I always see a lot of reels about couples getting married and people saying he proposed after 3 months of knowing each other or after a year dating. If he takes more than 2 years to propose, he doesn't love you enough, and blah blah blah. And again, I was about to fall into that trap, but then I was like, whoa, wait. Every relationship is different. And we actually talked about this several times. And yes, we want to get married someday, but not now. That's something we both agreed. So what's the hurry for? Like, it will be better to do that at the right moment, having enough money to make the perfect wedding of my dreams. It doesn't apply to my relationship. Because of our freedom, we know that we have multiple and fast available options out there. And on top of that, we are influenced by social media because we see these perfect couples on Instagram, and now suddenly our partner isn't good for us anymore, right? Or maybe you started dating this girl and tomorrow you see another girl on Instagram that probably you like more, and you think, oh, but I wish my girlfriend will have that booty or that personality or that style or that character or whatever you are more attracted to. And that's how exactly you start doubting your relationship. And so this is the perfect moment for our magical freedom to come and kill your relationship, reminding you that you have endless options available out there, just like the girl you just saw on Instagram. You can use social media as an inspo for your relationship or for manifesting your perfect relationship, or you can use it to doubt even more your current relationship, right? Social media and freedom won't ruin your relationship, but how you use them and your own values and actions and decisions will ruin it or will make it work. In the 1700s and 1800s, there was love, secret letters, years of waiting just to be with someone, and that struggle built deep emotional bonds. In the 80s and 90s, there was no internet, no instant replies. Like someone, you had to meet them in person, call their house, and show up. Today, we can text 10 people at the same time and meet a stranger in an hour. So that mystery, that magic is totally gone. Mother love is boring and fast, and that's why we can't commit. You know, I was always an old school girly. I always liked all romance novels and movies. And my mom will also tell me the story of her first love back in the 80s and how after that she just met my dad and they got married. And honestly, I can say that we could actually make a romance movie or novel based in her story. But could you make a romance movie with yours? If I take most of nowadays relationship, it always goes like that. I just met him on Tinder and we met, I went to his house and magic happened. Or I met him in whatever social media, we started chatting for whatever period of time and then we met, we kissed on the first date because there was a lot of attraction. We started seeing each other casually, being an almost a thing until we decided to make it official. And that's the best case scenario if they ever start dating. Now I can hear you and I know how social media works, so if you're in one of those relationships, if you're happy, then congratulations. I'm so happy for you. That's great. That doesn't mean that your relationship is trash just because you guys met on social media. I'm not saying that, but I personally never wanted that for myself. Okay, I'm just talking about myself, my personal taste for relationships, and what I do expect for my personal relationship. Okay, I'm not saying that that's better or that's bad, but you can't deny that most of the relationships nowadays, like most of the stories that we have nowadays in relationships are like that. Like we met on social media, we met on Tinder, and this and that. So it's just a fact. And of course, these also have a good side, which is that we can meet people all around the world from our house. And that's something great, because back then you cannot meet someone in another country unless you personally went there. So that's a very positive side of social media and social media couples. Since I was very little, I barely knew something about relationships, and still I had one single thing super clear in my mind, and is that I will never date someone I met on social media. I don't want my love story to be like that. I refuse it. And so it was. Every single guy I have ever dated was because I met him in person, always. And because we had a background story, you know, I just let life introduce them to me, and I can tell a whole interesting story about every and which one of them, like how we met, how everything happened, how we got from being friends or meeting each other until we felt in love and we started dating. It's a whole background story. It's not like I just met him and we kissed on the first date and we started dating. No, it will never be like that. But nowadays everything is so fast and so easy, and modern love just feels so boring. You don't value and romanticize it enough. When everything is so easy to get, nothing is precious anymore. So why does love felt more real, long-lasting and intense back then? Well, I'm actually watching an old period series on Netflix and I was thinking about it. Actually, that was the main reason why I'm making this video, because I was seriously worrying about it, like why our generation can't keep a real and long-lasting relationship anymore, even though back then was even more difficult than now and they had less freedom. And that's actually why, because love back then was basically restricted. It was either imposed by business and family relationships or forbidden because you were a woman and you can't marry who you want because of social class differences and laws and stuff. So if you deeply loved someone, you better show up and fight for it, because if not, you will never be with that person. And that's was actually the key, because even though it was hard, you knew that that fight was worth every single second of your life, because you would rather die than not being with the person that you love. How many real old stories are out there of couples, people fighting to death just to be together, escaping together and fighting the whole world just for their love? Because it was hard, it was restricted, it was rare. Humans are wired to chase what is rare or hard to get. Love letters, waiting years just to see each other, risking reputation, all those things made love intense and valuable. Most of the time they will have to kiss or meet secretly, because it was so difficult to maintain a relationship that was accepted by their families or society back then. And even the most basic things were something super special. Trust me when I say this, because of my own experience and because all the couples that I just met along the way and I observed. But the kind of love that sprints to the start line rarely, very rarely makes it to the finish. And last but not least, let's mention that back then wasn't social media, right? So that means that you couldn't feel behind the screen just by commenting on photos or chatting with that person. You wanted a girl? Bro, you gotta show up. There's literally no other option. Like, if you wanted that girl, you gotta go talk to her first, ask for her number, go talk to his parents first, go on dates, pay for dates, take her back home, figure out how to make that date so special so she will accept you. It's just make a freaking effort. And everything was step by step, because back then there wasn't so many options. Back then was definitely not so easy and fast to get into a relationship. People valued more and worked harder to keep their partners, because meeting someone new back then wasn't just a swipe away on Tinder like nowadays. We've turned love into fast fashion. Wear it, get bored, and replace it. If something feels hard, we quit instead of working through it. We've replaced depth with convenience. The dopamine hit from new constant interactions makes long-term love feels less exciting. The second things get hard, the second we feel discomfort or boredom or conflict, we quit. We somehow trained ourselves and also social media to seek that next dopamine hit, that little rush of excitement that comes from someone new, instead of holding on and deepening what you already have. And the truth is that real love, it is not constant excitement and fireworks every day. It's not constant butterflies. Real love is actually steady. But when you've been conditioned to believe that excitement and butterflies are the only sign and form of love, then stability and peace in relationships start to feel like boredom and will leave. Without realizing that the very thing we are looking for, depth, connection, a love that feels like home, can only be found by staying. Maybe lasting love isn't dying, but the way we find and value it has changed drastically. At the end of the day, love is not supposed to be consumed. It's supposed to be cultivated. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest love stories aren't the ones that burn brighter in the beginning, but the ones that burn steady, warm, and unshakable for a lifetime. If you want to avoid falling into a fake short-term relationship, slow down. Just slow down. And don't mistake chemistry for compatibility, and don't rush love just because nowadays it's so easy to get. Choose someone you will still choose when the excitement fades, because that's exactly when the relationship really begins. And if this resonated with you, stick around here on Romance Diaries series. If you ever felt that relationships don't last anymore, I really want to hear your thoughts. Do you think love is better now, or it was better back then when it was harder to find? Let me know in the comments. And if this topic resonates with you, you will definitely go and watch this video on red flags I just learned from my past toxic relationships. It's all the lessons I wish I knew sooner, so I will leave it just right here for you. Bye bye.